going to, bring a service on to help with our leadership training, developing our new programs. They're going to fall under that professional
Perfect.
services.
Thank you. And also, thank you so much for the training and making sure that the city is where it should be as far as HR standards. So thank you so much for that. How many employees do we currently have in HR that make up this? Because the wages for this is 549,270. So how many employees do we currently have in HR?
HR, we have 8 employees in HR right now. Yes,
And they're all full-time?
all full-time. Oh, I'll take that back. We do have one part-time employee that's designated part-time, but he's actually probably putting in full-time work, but yeah.
Mhm.
So are you budgeting for 8 FTEs or 9 FTEs or 8 and a
8.
half? 8, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then just another question, a little bit different. How many employees do we have in the city total that work for the city total?
About 598
598?
Let's be exact.
as we speak.
And then how many are union versus non-union?
I'd say close to almost 200 employees are union employees.
And then the rest are non-union.
I'm sorry,
The rest are non-union?
non-union, yes.
So 309 union employees?
Non-union, non.
9, I said 300 non-union.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So most of our employees are not union.
So that would be
Correct.
398, not union.
right.
Thank you very much. That's actually extremely helpful. Councilwoman Priestley?
Yeah, I'm assuming the computer software column last year was for the UKG,
Yes,
because I remember approving
correct.
that software. And then there was one other item that I thought, the subscriptions, publications, and newspapers, you've got 2,500 on, and you didn't have anything the last 2 years. Is this a subscription for?
We're advertising and for positions, open positions that we'll do advertising for, yes.
Where was the cost for those before then?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Where was the cost of that before? Because there's no budget for 24, 25, or 25, 26.
Yeah, we actually did not do a lot of advertising before. We did advertising on our website.
Okay,
And so we did cut that back drastically over the last, few years. But what we've discovered is that it's going to be more competitive. We've got to advertise more. So
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
yep. I spoke to the chief yesterday about advertising.
Yes.
So other than that, yeah, you've got a pretty simple budget. The big thing is the Civil Service Commission. I mean, how much is the total for the Civil Service Commission budgeted? I mean, I've got it here, but it's buried.
I want to say it's around 75,000, but I'd have to add it up. So
Okay, and it looks like it's about 25,000 for pension total. Do we have anybody right now being, whose salaries are
No.
being actually charged to the Civil Service Commission?
no, I don't think we've had any charges out of it other than the pension charges.
Is there any plan to do that?
There's been talk, and ever since I've been here, and I know that it was the mayor was, talking about reestablishing that, but that's all it's been so far.
Yeah, because I don't think there's anybody appointed to that from anybody's board. Okay, I know that. I know I have to replace my Human Relations Commission. That's about all the questions I had. You're really straightforward. Most of your expenses are in personnel.
Yeah.
And I like your initiatives. I really appreciate the fact that you went out and sought that grant
Okay.
for the retention and hiring. That, I think, plus our, the new contract for the police officers. We're waiting on what, we still haven't got one for fire, right?
We have fire to start. We're currently doing our lieutenants and captains. We are 16 and 1,600, 1799. So those are still in process right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and well, that wouldn't affect this budget at all. So that's my biggest question. I don't know if I think that because we're required by charter to have a civil service commission, we need to have some money in there.
Yeah.
And we really need to follow up with that and get that into place. And I'm blaming the council as well as the mayor on that. And the fact that it hasn't been pushed really, the legal department hasn't said, we really need this. So I'm going to blame that on all three areas. But other than that, I don't have any other questions. Do you? We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back at 6 o'clock for the Ombudsman's office.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I gotta get practice. See you guys.
Ready? The time is now 6 o'clock, and I'm calling this budget hearing to order for the Ombudsman's office, Ombudsperson office. Members present for the record are Judy Priestley, 4th Ward, and Candace Mashat, 7th Ward. Do you guys have anything you'd like to have you prepared anything for us before we go through your numbers? There you go. Make sure you speak
Oh, good. I
close.
don't have to hold it. Okay.
No, you don't have to hold it. Just bring it close to you.
Okay. First of all, I want to say good afternoon. I
Evening.
almost said good evening, but
It
it's
is
good
evening.
afternoon.
It's 6 o'clock.
It is. Is it evening?
It's
It's
6
still
o'clock.
afternoon.
It's 6.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Councilwoman Priestley, and good evening to the President, Candace Mashat. I'm just honored to be here as the Chairman of the Ethics and Accountability Board. Normally, we're in partnership with the Ombudsperson, and so the partnership should be, I believe that normally if we had an Ombudsperson, they would be here, but I would be here anyway to give them and lend them support in the budgetary hearings and in the meetings. And so I just want to let everybody know that I'm just excited. I'm excited. I'm looking forward. I mean, this is my 4th budgetary hearing. So, I'm just looking forward to just getting into some good discussions, and especially with the numbers, and just trying to figure out, where we're going to go for this fiscal year and things of that nature as we prepare to move forward. So nothing really deep into that, but I do want to thank everybody.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mashat? I'll let you go first since I'm last.
No, it's fine. We can do the normal back and forth that we've
Yep,
been
yep,
doing. That works perfectly.
With us, just us two, we're more informal. We'll interrupt each other if we need to. Go ahead. Interrupt, that's being rude, but
Provide comment.
yes, we or ask additional questions based on their answers and your answers. Okay.
All right. So who do we have with us tonight?
I am Mrs. Little. I am the the bus person assistant.
Okay. I think so. Starting off, first with the wages, and Mr. Moore, I believe that you will have to answer this. So, 2024-25. So for activity under wages, we had 9,711. Then with our amended budget, there was 194,318, and that was 25-26. And then proposed 26-27 is 190,370. With the 194,318.
That was the same budget as we had in the previous year. We were not fully staffed during the whole year. We had just the one employee. We did not have an actual ombudsman person appointed, and I believe you had another person, another position, an analyst.
You said we have an analyst?
We've never filled the position.
We never
It
filled the
was budgeted,
position.
but
So
never
this
filled.
entire time, so with that 194,318, there was only one person working in that office?
Right.
So what was the actual activity on that number? What was the actual number there?
The activity,
Yes.
I'll defer that to,
Go ahead, Chair.
Do you just want that line, or do you want me to estimate like all the wages and fringes together? That line is only 28,000.
28,000?
Yeah.
And that's full-time?
I believe Shax is full-time.
That's full-time?
Yes,
full-time, but that's
full time.
it's full-time.
And you only had 28,000?
That's the activity in that line. There's some holiday and some sick and vacation that go into that, the entire wage too.
What's the entire wage?
Let me do some math.
Ms. Little, what's the entire wage?
For
How much money do you?
Oh, I can
right
probably.
now, it's at 44.
There you go.
And as it looks to me, that is has salaried employees. Is that included in the wages also right up under that?
Are we using that line? We're not using that line item anymore, are we? The salaried employee exempt?
It looks
that's
like it's
just-
blank.
We're trying to eliminate those lines. We're
Yeah,
trying
that's
to
what I thought.
consolidate.
Oh,
So,
okay,
so that's why it's 0. So,
okay.
yeah, Mr. Moore and I discussed this, how many line items we had and how many, that it was ridiculous. And so we talked about reducing them, and that was one of them.
Gotcha, that makes sense.
Next year, that won't show up.
You said it will?
No. The salaried employee exempt and sick
So why
vacation.
are we getting rid of that particular line item when there's one employee and that we won't see
It's
where the?
just across the board. That line, that account number is not being used in any department.
I understand, but like for this particular department where there's just one employee, it would then look like this one employee was getting $194,318.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And so what was the actual expenses out of this office, the actual expenditures? If she's saying she makes 44 and we have 194 in front of us.
That's the budget.
I understand, but what
Oh.
I'm saying is,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. I didn't bring my,
Mm-mm. No. Right, but no, what they're asking for is they want actuals. And they're the actual, this is the amended, but there's no. No, thank you.
okay. So I'm looking at the March
Mhm.
financial report.
Okay.
So if we've got one, okay, that's wages and employee and benefits through March was $135,583.93.
You said 135?
135. Looking at the budget,
What was the total? 135 what?
583.93.
All right.
Looking at the budget for this year, we had 103,000 of retirement. Is that the legacy costs? So,
There was, the pension grant was going through that for that year. And so that's much higher than it.
so this 135,000 in the wages and benefits on the March financial, and I know you're probably up to date with your data. How much of that would be legacy pension costs? So that we can get an idea what really is without that. Am I? Yes.
Which line are you asking about, ma'am?
Okay, so I'm looking at our March financial reports, okay? And,
So we have the general
I'm
fund
looking at,
statement
the
of
account
revenue and
number I'm looking
expenditures.
I
As
don't know
of-
what the March.
As of
But
March
what-
31st, we were given the general fund statement of revenues and expenditures.
and it's rolled up, but let me give you the account number.
Oh, thank you,
The
Judy.
account number is 101,
What?
Jay,
That's the table.
101, 268,
101, 268. 717.
Yeah, this one.
717, yep, that's the one. How much is that to date?
To date, that would be for FY '26, 77,364.
Okay, so I would say that's probably about half of what that salary, that line item is. Okay. Does that make sense to you, Candace?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
It's the legacy expenses for the pension to date is 77,364. And that is part of that, or most of it is under the Ombudsman's budget report, included in the 135,000.
Why do we do it that way?
That's a good question.
That still gets us to 121. And we said, and it's 135. So where's the rest coming from?
I'm not sure what the question is.
Sorry. So with the numbers that she gave for the
It's still,
legacy, right?
Mhm.
So she gave 77,364.
Yep.
Ms. Little said she makes 44. So that puts us at 121,364. But here we have 135,583. So where's the rest of that coming from?
Where's
so included in that 135,000 is all of the benefits, including regular pension, but it's also the legacy cost.
It also includes things like health insurance. and,
Right, that's the benefits.
you know,
FICA.
Okay, so that's the 14,219,
Yeah, whatever that is, that number is.
14,219.
So that was what I wanted to know, is what was that? Because that was, so why is it going down for next year on the legacy pension costs?
Because there won't be a pension grant next year.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I did not hear that answer.
There will not be a pension grant next year. The state says that they've gotten us to the point where they're not planning to offer those again.
What professional services would we be using for this office? Because we went from 2025 activity, so 4,087 to 10,000 budget last year, 10,000 budgeted this year. What professional services are we budgeting under this office and why?
There we go.
The professional services, right now, that includes like video of the EAB meetings. And
Paul?
Paul, yes.
I can confirm that was the activity this year too.
Okay.
Thank you. And so that's how many meetings for that 10,000?
Right now, we're meeting twice a month.
Just for the sake of accuracy, there's only been 2 charges. It's been $1,500.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's helpful.
So if they did do more, they would obviously, they could reach that 10,000 in, I don't know, what is it, like 7 or 8 meetings?
And so last year, we budgeted for, well, obviously the charter says that we have to do 250. And we approved that in mind with the administrative person, the ombudsperson, and then an analyst.
Yes.
So, and I can't remember the salary for the analyst and the ombudsperson.
Yeah, Ombudsman's got to be same as clerk, so,
They'll let us know.
yeah.
I mean, they have it here as 83, but I think so I would have to look up what Davina makes. I don't even know where I would go with that.
Sorry, so just doing some quick math, I had Mrs. Little to pull up actually how much Paul charges us. And so I have him charging us at $330 per meeting. And so we've just already eliminated like 3 or 4 meetings because of holiday time. So I came up with 21 meetings. It should be around for 6,930. But that's for now. Some things have
I was
come
gonna say
light.
330, he's giving you quite the bargain.
Right, he is. No, Paul, yeah, Paul really is, and
Yeah, that's quite, 330, that's quite the bargain.
it is.
Yep.
It really is. But that's what I came up for with professional services and things of that nature. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, back to the other question.
computer software. What software do you have to have? What's included in that?
So the software that we use is for the reporting system. So everything for the database, and it generates the complaints and the percentages and things of that nature. And so all of the complaint information goes into that system software. And so it's actually independent of what the city, I believe, currently has. And that actually protected us. So when we had that cyber attack about a couple of years ago, and everybody else was breached because ours was offline, we didn't have a breach in any personal information to be exposed or things of that nature. So that's what those funds are for that computer service. And I believe their server we're operating, it's out of Dallas, Texas.
Okay, so you're on another server, but
Yep.
we're not, which is good, because I was concerned about it
I
being just
believe it's-
housed on our,
I believe they have a cloud-based
yeah,
system.
Mhm.
okay.
Don't tell them what server you're on. If they didn't get you last year, they might get you this year.
No, you're right.
And then, why am I on the wrong?
Did
line?
we get that answer yet?
I don't know who compiled the PSW, so I don't have an accurate number for that. I know what Davina makes, so if we match that, or the clerk, I should say.
Right.
So if we match that, then I can tell you what that should be, but I don't know if I can give you an accurate number according to that line, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I will say this, I mean, there was also a shift in numbers, because everybody that was in that line item, the legal services as far as administrative assistants, they all got a pay bump. And so I'm not sure, I think that happened in the middle of the year. So I think that's also where some of the discrepancies.
So just really
could be as
quickly,
well.
right? Somebody should be able to tell me, since you requested money for an analyst, how much you requested for the analyst. And someone should be able to tell me how much the ombudsperson is supposed to make.
So I can tell you that the PSW I'm looking at has 4 positions. So I don't think this is accurate, that's why I don't want to answer and give you false information.
No problem, right? But what I'm saying
So
is,
can
it's
we
not
get back
just
to
on you to answer, right? So somebody should be able to provide, Mr. Harris, do you have the answer? Since you all requested an analyst, at what amount was that budgeted for? And the same with the ombudsperson, at what amount is that budgeted for?
So if I may, in the last budgetary hearing, we actually discussed this before. And so it was found out that we didn't have an analyst and we didn't have an investigator. So what we did is, I think for this next budget, what we had planned to do was, until we got an ombudsperson, we weren't going to include that in, because we wanted them to hire their own staff. Now, correct me if
I
I'm wrong.
understand that there's
Yeah.
only one person in the department. What I'm asking is, how much are you all asking for both positions?
Oh, okay.
If I may speak, it is for 4 positions, because there's the ombudsperson, there's an analyst for the Human Relations Commission, there's an analyst for the actual ombudsperson investigation, and of course, the ombudsperson. The last salary check that was itemized.
Hold on, give me 1 second. You said the ombudsperson,
The
then what was the first analyst?
Is the analyst is for the ombudsperson.
Okay,
Then there's an analyst for the Human Resource Commission.
Human Relations
Human
Commission.
Human Relations Commission. And
Got
then there's
it.
also the administrative assistant.
Is there a cost center for Human Relations Commission, or is it all under the Ombudsman?
That at one point was funded by the grant that was offered by Mott. Mott had offered the grant to cover the analyst for the Human Relations Commission. And so from that grant, they operated dually. So they operated for the Human Relations, but they also operated for
They
the
split the
Ombudsman as
time.
well. Yeah, they split the time between the two.
And so it's charged between the 2 areas. So my question is do we have a budget for Human Relations Commission or no? Or is it under the?
the Human
Ombudsman?
Relation was under, we just talked about Human Relations Commission.
That was civil service.
Oh, that was civil service, that's right.
Mhm. To date, I don't even know if the board is active. I'm just being honest with you
All
today.
right.
I don't know.
I mean, I know we did get, we did have enough members to have a quorum.
I guess I'm just waiting for an answer
Yeah.
about how much we're budgeting for each of these positions.
I got you.
I'm not aware of anything for the Human Rights Commission.
What you have, how much are we budgeting for what you have?
So again, I don't want to take this PSW as gospel because it doesn't even match it doesn't even match Shaxta's wage. So I don't know that these numbers, I don't know that I trust these numbers. So that's why I hesitate.
Are you getting
I can-
am.
I can tell you what it says on here, but I do not think it's going to match what's in the budget. And I think the budget's probably lower because I don't think that we are calculating in that Human Relations Commission. And I think we are actually elevating the ombudsperson up to the per charter, what the clerk, the city clerk makes. So
So you don't think this budget includes what the proper wages?
I am unsure
Okay.
because the PSW does not reflect
Thank
what
you for
I'm
the
seeing.
disclaimer. Can you let me know what you have? I understand those are not accurate numbers. So what,
I can tell you what the PSW says.
Okay. that'd be
okay,
great.
perfect.
The administrative assistant says base salary is 42,780, which we've already established is not right.
No, I know. He knows.
The analyst for the ombudsman's office
Mhm.
I got you.
is full-time 39,423.
And that's full-time, okay.
The Human Relations Commission is part-time,
Part-time, okay.
30,856.
56. Okay,
And the ombudsman is 83,692, which is not reflective of what the clerk makes, which is why
okay,
I
what
don't-
is it supposed to be?
Well, the clerk makes 96,600 around,
How much?
96,600.
96,600 is
Yeah.
what it's supposed to be at?
That is per charter, I believe they are supposed to be matched.
I understand. I got you.
Right.
So Ms. Lizzo gave me some information as well. So we have here for the analyst position, not for the Human Relations Commission, but for the analyst for the Ombudsman's office, we have it base salary at 41. And
What are you reading off of that's different from what he has?
we have the PSW from 2027.
Again, see, that's why I was unsure that this was the accurate, because it says that is I do have an FY '27 PSW as well, but I don't manage these, so.
And that
You
came
got those
from
numbers
Vicky.
written down because I was just.
I do,
I was
so,
just absolutely like,
so even though it's 83,692 for the ombuds person, that's actually gonna be 96,600. And right now, the analyst is, according to the number that's not quite accurate from Che, it's 39,423, but they have 41.
okay, I'll just go with the 41.
Well, I'm gonna go with the 41 as well. And then the part-time, and this is part-time analyst for the Human Relations Commission is 38,56.
30,856.
Right.
30,000.
The-
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I got you, thank you.
3856
I said it
could be two
weirdly.
different ways.
I got you.
Yeah.
And then.
And then
the administrative
42,
assistant.
well, we're gonna go with what she actually makes, which is the 44.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go with what she actually
And then,
makes.
so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna need an accurate budget, especially for wages and salaries. Because we don't have that. If that's, I don't know that that matches this.
Because right now, that's 212,156 for the,
I want a 10 key up here. I want a 10 key calculator.
Today? Yeah, see, and I'm not sure which one she uses, so I'm going by the one, Yeah, and yours is probably more accurate than mine. Because she sent it to you and she's the one that works on it and I'm not. I picked one that I thought was the right
I've got
one.
199.
How'd you get
or
199?
thereabouts, for wages for that department.
Well, I got 212,156 because you have the 96,600, you have the
Oh, that's right. I
41,000.
missed it 96. I put 83 because I was trying to reconcile.
Yeah, he
so
was, what he said
96.
was that's
Yep, that's what
what
it
he
should be,
has, but
is
that's not
96.
accurate because it's supposed to be
Yep.
whatever the
All
clerk
right, I'll
makes.
accept that. That's 13,000 more than what I had that.
Yeah, so
That's-
212,156.
Yep,
And
yep.
I'm assuming that includes everything fringe?
Yep. No,
Okay.
that does not.
That
include-
does not. include.
That's just wages. And then you have all your fringes. So I'm going to put, we need accurate wage and benefit.
Yeah, because the number is 250. So we need to make sure we're not going over that 250.
Okay, so that's what I put that as one of the things that we're going to talk about.
Right, because that's 212 alone with just those positions. And that's not including everything else that goes into this department. Because you still have your professional services, you still have, that computer software, you have your printing and your publishing, which by the way, you have printing and publishing. So what goes out with printing and publishing? What's happening there?
So with printing and publishing, that comes out from generating the reports. And then also, we just had recent board members and things of that nature. So we print out all copies of the charter and the ordinances so that they can have. And then also, it's paperwork for the board when we have agenda items and things of that nature. And so that, I know that's one portion when it comes to that.
And also, the office was looking into leasing a more moderate style printer, and that's included in that. That's before my interimship passed up. We were looking into getting a up-to-date printer for the ombudsperson's office. 'Cause
We have talked about that in the past.
Yes, yes, because anything larger than, it only prints out 8 by 11, can't print any large stuff. So we would I would outsource those printed items. So we was looking into leasing a new copier.
Okay, then we have, thank you. Then we have education, training, and conferences. Why, really quickly, why do we have the 5,194 in the red?
From for last year's budget.
And just to let you know, last year, because the board didn't meet, we didn't have any education conferences or anything like that. So I don't know what, and I'm with you, I don't know why it's in the red
Yeah.
either.
They should be able to.
May have been just to balance it out.
Probably so.
We balance it out with stuff that didn't happen?
They didn't spend any. I'm assuming.
So correction so Davina is 90,480. So $90,480.
Again, that was off this PSW and I
Yeah.
am not taking any faith in it right
No,
now.
no worries. But what happened last year, the number you quoted was from some contractual thing that happened, but her actual salary is $90,480.
Yeah.
So our number changes again, Judy.
So, yep.
And I thought that,
That's why I'm gonna.
yeah,
We need an accurate budget because this is not, most of it is accurate, but when we change the wage and benefit information, that we need to redo that budget.
mm-hmm. Okay.
Because it's definitely more than the 190, which changes everything,
So
all of the taxes and.
I would love to pick the brains of those who did the charter and understand why we matched the ombudsperson's salary to the city clerk's salary, like why we married the two.
Right. There's a lot of things I'd like to pick the brains of on the charter.
From,
I mean, but there are reasons. Before you go touching things, I'd like to know reasons.
from
Yeah.
what I was explained, because I asked that same question as well, because I asked of other board members before I got on the board.
Right,
And so one of the framers, they said the reason why they did that was because the ombudsperson was always paid the lowest. And so sometimes they would mess with the ombudsman's pay in regards to how they used to operate before. So what they did is they put it in the charter by saying, no, the pay is going to be consistent whatever the city clerk makes, so that way they couldn't reduce or do anything. That's what I was told.
But what if, for whatever the reason, we have a city clerk, they come in and they make less than our current city clerk would make, or, if something like that happened, then, you know what I'm saying? That kind of dictates.
Exactly, because then, because then if you get a new city clerk, and if we got an ombudsman that's making the 90, does that mean now the city clerk has to be brought up to the 90 as well? So I understand. That
I was
makes
actually
sense.
just looking at that today because I was thinking about the,
Yeah, we just definitely want some accurate numbers for
let me look and see what it says.
this department as far as the ombudsperson. So I think we are settled on the $90,480 as far as that being the ombudsperson salary. And I believe I was told once before too that salary was about 90,000. So okay. And then with the ombudsperson analyst, we want to make sure that we have the accurate number there, as well as for the part-time human relations commissions analyst. And then also, Ms. Little gave us hers, so the salary is the salary that she said, because she would know best. But for the other two, we just need some confirmation on what the actual salaries are. Both analyst positions.
Yeah, because, I just looked at the charter language for the compensation for the ombudsman. It says the compensation for the ombudsperson shall be at the same amount as the compensation for the city clerk. So does that mean the compensation salary, the steps and everything, or is it what she makes, or him or her?
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. Professional dues and publications. What goes into that 2,000? What is that for specifically?
One of the dues is for the Ombudsperson Association. There's a yearly fee for that.
Okay.
And
How much is the yearly fee?
the yearly fee is, I can't,
We'll make sure
I can get.
we'll make sure that we get you that information. We'll give that to you.
And so we're still a part of the Ombudsperson Association, minus having an
An
ombudsperson for years.
Well, again, when I was the interim, the office joined back with the Ombudsperson Association. But since then, it hasn't been renewed.
It looks like we haven't been charged it since 2024, and it was only $275.
Okay, so.
Because we have 2,000 for last year and this year. So I
Yeah.
just
I'm
wanna-
just saying the actual charge was only $275.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about that then.
Yeah, it's not, yeah. We're not being charged for it.
Nope. So we talked about the computer, your printer last year, and I think we talked about going through IT because they're in charge of that. Have you done anything with that to find out how much it would cost to get you a new printer for?
Things kind of ceased with moving forward, of course, until we get an actual ombudsperson in the office.
So is there no printing that needs to be done in lieu of having an ombudsperson? You still need to print, correct?
Right. What I've been doing, if I have any large items, some other offices are been nice enough to make some copies for me, or I'll outsource the copying.
And then again, we brought that up last year by saying with outsourcing, because there's a lot of confidential information that needs to, that goes out.
You won't get any argument from us about the fact that she needs a printer.
Right, no.
No,
I was
I guess
going
I'm
with
just not understanding why she was not given a printer specific.
Because we had talked about it last year,
Yes,
about her needing a copier
right.
type thing, and that's why I'm wondering why.
Why
She
you
still
still
doesn't have one.
don't have a printer.
Well, I would definitely be speaking with IT tomorrow and setting up on that one. Because
Yeah.
before any printing that was done, I was actually paying
Well, you can't
Okay.
be doing that. That's not your,
Right,
No.
right, but, I'll check with the first thing in the morning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. And we absolutely do not expect you to pay for that stuff out of your.
not
own
out of your
pocket.
pocket. No,
Absolutely not. That is not,
that's not okay.
that's, no. If you have the receipts, please turn them into Mr. Harris so that he can get reimbursed for you.
Okay.
That's not a problem. I'll do that.
Yeah, that's very.
And it shouldn't come out of your pocket either, Mr. Harris.
Oh, no.
It should
Oh, I
come out of your
wholeheartedly agree.
budget.
No, I wholeheartedly agree.
All right, so how many years has it been since we've had an ombudsperson?
So technically, we had, Mrs. Little was interim from 2022 to 2024. So she was the interim ombudsperson. But the actual ombudsperson was when Ms. Dorsey resigned. What was that, September? I want to say September of 2022.
Okay, so 22 to 24?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then, so we're looking at 24 to now. In 22 to 24, how many cases were we able to actually,
I can get that information to you too, because the database does sort that for me, the software that we use, Civic Plus. And,
okay,
It'll-
did you make a
it'll-
note of that?
it can give you the information from the beginning of the complaint, the results, not the actual results, but that if it's opened or closed and when it was and the timeline and all of that.
Okay, thank you.
And if you want me to give it to Davina, or how do you want me to provide it?
Yes, because the clerk will make sure that we get it
Okay.
quickly, so yes. And so from 24 to 26, since we've not had an ombudsperson, I imagine that you are still taking phone calls and filing complaints, correct?
Yes.
So do you know how many we've had in the past year? I won't go all the way back.
Give me just a moment.
And then have you been able to resolve them yourselves, or have you had to go to the EAB board? Of course, they weren't able to have a quorum, so.
I'm
Jeez.
sorry, give me just one moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you're absolutely correct. So the complaints that we've just gotten here recently, since the board has made quorum, those complaints have come to us.
How many complaints?
So far, we have 3. We've gotten 3 complaints in regards to that matter. Just
So
for the
you've
board.
made quorum for the past 2 months?
Yes, we made quorum in January, and then for the last 2 straight months, we have made quorum. Yes.
Okay.
No. Has it been the last month?
Made quorum for the last month, one time in, what is this? April. One time in February, and then, all of April thus far.
And then we made quorum in March as well.
Yes, one.
Okay. So we've had, I think, only twice this year so far. We have not had quorum, and that's a huge improvement.
And so
That's
when were
better.
those complaints? When did you receive those complaints?
So one complaint was sent in on March 4th, and then the other complaint was sent in on March 24th. And then I just received an email, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, that was a complaint as well. Let me see, I can find that date for you. Let me see here.
And so how are the complaints being handled currently? Since now that you have met quorum and you have these, how are they handled?
So basically, once a complaint has been filed, it's brought to the board. Ms. Little brings it to our attention via email. We correspond via email, and I let them know. I said, okay, place these complaints on the next agenda item to be discussed. And so what the board does is once the board receives those complaints and we talk about it, then what we begin doing is our investigation process.
So you openly discuss complaints in your board meetings that are publicly,
Yes, well, no. We only go, so for instance, if a person remains anonymous, so if the person submitted a complaint anonymously, we discuss it without mentioning who was the one that submitted the complaint. If we have to discuss who submitted the complaint, then at that time we go into a closed session. And then we would discuss who sent the complaint. And then once we go back into an open session, it would still be anonymous.
So all of your complaints are discussed in open session unless the people want to rename anonymous. And then if they do want to be rename anonymous, and you want to discuss who was the complaint, then you'd go into closed session.
Correct. Now what we do is we discuss the complaintee, so who the person was, who the person made the complaint about, because it's public record.
Right.
That's who we discuss. But as far as the person who submitted it, we don't do it. If they request an
I appreciate that.
and
mean,
so if
that's
we have an ombudsperson in position, is it still handled that way? Or is it only being handled that way because you are handling it as the Ethics and Accountability Board?
Well, for instance, so when it comes down to so most of the complaints have been about, I'll just be honest with you, have been political stuff and about campaign things. And so the ombudsman actually wouldn't weigh in. The only way the ombudsman would weigh in is we would ask the office, the ombudsperson, hey, can your office investigate this as to what happened? And then the ombudsman would just give us their investigative report. And then the board would still discuss, what happened.
Right, so if it weren't political, if it was something that actually fell under the jurisdiction of the ombudsperson, go ahead, Ms. Little.
The ombudsperson office, they handle all the complaints. They don't take those. When there's an active ombudsperson, that's what you have the analyst for and the ombudsperson. They get together, and we've already developed a rapport with department heads and everything. And it's like a matter of phone calls. They work quite well with the ombudsperson's office in getting situations resolved. So some of those issues, the EAB would get a monthly report from the ombudsperson.
Thank you, you just answered my question, so that's
Yeah.
not normal practice.
Right. So
Understood,
they'll-
thank you.
But it doesn't detail, but they'll get a monthly report from the ombudsperson's office.
Right, and so for the past couple of years, how have we, so I'm gonna say from 24 to 26, how have the complaints been being handled? Are they being forwarded to you all, and are you all discussing them publicly?
So I'll just be honest with you, when we didn't have, so yes, when we would get the complaints, we would have to discuss it in order to talk about it, so we would know what the complaint is, because we can't talk about it through email because of the
Open Meetings Act?
Thank you, Public Meetings Act. And so therefore, that's when the board discusses it. But, if we need to enact upon it, depending on the nature of it is, we can, and we do.
So from 24 to 26, the EAB board has been handling complaints that
Correct.
normally go to the ombudsperson. How many complaints have you handled?
Well, I'll say this also as well. So I will say this, we did suspend handling complaints for the majority of 2025 when the board was sued by Doug Matthews. Mr. King, 2024 and 2025, when the lawsuit came up, Mr. King asked the board that, hey, we don't take any complaints while we're handling this legislative action. So at that time, Mr. King directed Mrs. Little, if you have a complaint, file it. And then once we get
How
past
many complaints
that,
were filed?
Yeah, we don't know how busy your department
Right.
is.
Hold on just a moment.
Well, because the public knows that there's not an ombudsperson in office, they have went down drastically. But if I could blow this up, it's been about, I'll say 30 complaints that have been filed. some have been filed in person, and you could also go online to file a complaint. When it comes to like small things, blight and stuff like that, I refer them, I do pass it on and refer them to blight and try to get, some small issues resolved, but
Mhm.
nothing,
Appreciate that,
yeah, because when a person,
especially blight.
yes. So when you kind of know which way to move them without, I want to use the right words, without, if I know when something can move fast and can get it resolved, I refer them to that department and and I may call the person in the department, hey, Miss So-and-so is going to call you. They wanted to file a complaint about this, about that. Here's their information.
Okay. When was the last time we had an analyst?
The analyst resigned in
That was 2020.
September of 2024.
Okay. And the reason why we're asking about the number.
Thank you, because I was going to say it's very much tied into the budget, right? Because
It's-
we're trying to understand what $250,000 has been going to since 2022. We're trying to, and of course, it's charter mandated, which is fine, but we have a responsibility to understand exactly what $250,000 is actually,
Providing the service to the residents.
absolutely.
So, and, excuse me, so just, and I agree, I understand where you're coming from. So, and I, basically, when those positions,
We
So-
are too.
I'm sorry, yeah, so when those positions are staffed, I understand that things are moving and things are operating the way that they should be. And so since Ms. Dorsey, I think once Ms. Dorsey left, then little by little, we started losing the analyst as well, and then we hired one. So when there's activity going on, when there's an ombudsman going on, all of those funds are being used. And I do know what other funds aren't used are supposed to go back
Yeah.
to
They
the general
absolutely do.
fund.
And
So, go
They
ahead.
absolutely do.
just to speak on that a little bit.
Thank you.
This year, we've spent only 145, and a big chunk of that was just legacy costs that were backed by revenue from a grant. The year before that, a very similar thing, 197 total, and a lot of that was backed by legacy, or it was charged from the legacy cost that was backed by revenue from a grant. So it's not like we're spending that money and it's going nowhere. It is
Right.
falling back into the general fund.
So I guess my next question, and something you said triggered it, are we able to still have an analyst even if we don't have an ombudsperson?
Well, you know what? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we can. We could have an analyst, and what they will still be doing is analyzing the cases and investigating the paperwork so that when we do get an ombudsperson, all of the case filing is already complete. So when the ombudsman comes in, the analyst can say, these are like 10 cases that I've already gotten the paperwork for, we've done an investigations for. Now these 10 cases are ready for your review with everything that needs in order to go forward. So yes, we could hire an analyst.
Okay, and to what Ms. Little said earlier, then we have residents who are extremely upset because there hasn't been anyone that they feel they can officially, right, give a complaint to. Whereas if you had an analyst in place already, some of this work that Ms. Little has had to figure out how to creatively field so that you don't end up with a backup and we do not end up with lawsuits as a city. I'm just wondering why we haven't and I know you said you want to wait for the ombudsperson so they can pick their own analyst, but again, you all have had years to get an ombudsperson to pick an analyst and it hasn't happened. So why haven't we hired an analyst in the interim since we're not getting an ombudsperson? Because the complaints are still there. This is still happening. And so whatever the process is that's holding up you not having an ombudsperson, that's not holding you up not from having an analyst. So the work can be getting done.
Well, that's the other
You and I
thing.
had to talk about this.
Right. And that's the other thing is because, so if we're doing, if we put it out to hire, which is not a problem, we still have to, the board would then still have to meet quorum in order to hold, in order to, fill the
And
position.
according to you, there's only been 2 times this year where you've not met quorum, and we still haven't had that position open up to get an ombuds person. And so I go back to my question about the analyst. Why haven't we put an analyst in place if, for whatever the reason, you're not putting an ombuds person in place? Because there's still work that has to be done. There's still complaints that need to be lodged. There's still an investigation that can happen without the ombuds person, so that at least residents know they're filing these complaints and they're going somewhere other than a cabinet or other than a cloud.
Well, that's the thing about it is even though they work on the case, they still, we can't, all they can do is just say, we're investigating and doing things of that nature.
And are they investigating?
They would, but then
Okay, and so in the interim,
But the
while we're waiting to hire an ombuds person, instead of having cases sit there and pile up and they're not being investigated, and then when an ombuds person gets here, you now have a ton of cases that have not even at the least been investigated and analyzed.
But then also their directive would also come from the ombuds person and how to handle things. Because even if we do hire an analyst and an investigator, there's a certain way that they have to do it by law. And so the ombudsman would direct them in how to do it without the case being thrown out to make sure that all the information is gathered together. So without the ombudsman being present in the office, the analyst would still gather the information, but we don't know how they did it in a legal way.
Perfect. That brings me back to the point that you've only not made quorum twice this year and you still have not opened up that ombuds person position.
Correct.
Why?
Because the board has decided not to until there is an
So
amendment
the
to the
board
ordinance.
has decided that since we have not had an ombuds person officially since 2022, and the original excuse was that we did not have quorum, and you've managed to make quorum all this year except for 3 times.
Only made quorum 3 times.
Thank you.
Only made it 3 times.
Well,
But-
he said it differently. He said that, if you go back, he said that y'all have had it for the past 2 months.
We made quorum, we made 1 quorum in the first week of January, first week in January, we had quorum. We didn't have quorum the second week of January. We didn't have quorum the month of February.
So I'm going to tell you this, right? And I'm going to be honest with the both of you. In the same way that you hear as a board that there's no ombuds person, what we hear as a council relentlessly is that we don't have an ombuds person, that this position is still not filled, that people do not have a mechanism to, and no offense to you, Ms. Little, but they don't have a mechanism to lodge their concerns, right? There's no one there that will do the investigating. There's no one there that will get back with them and tell them the steps that's happening. And that's simply because that is not in her purview or her job description.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. she can
And
do
so, again, if the pressure was for the council to provide you with a way to make quorum, and we've done that, and there's still been 0 movement on getting an ombuds person.
Actually, no, there has been movement. So we've been talking with HR and the legal department in order to modernize the department for the ombudsman as far as the qualifications. Because in the past, when we have put out for the position, it's been so restrictive that if we had maybe 30 people or 40 people that applied, only 2 or 3 people would be approved through HR. And so therefore, the scope and the range was very limited in what the board wanted to do. In fact, actually, the board found a candidate. We interviewed about 4 people. At that time, I think 30 people applied, only 5 were approved. 1 person didn't show up. So we interviewed 4 people. We did find a candidate, and the candidate, for whatever reason, after their discussion with HR, withdrew from the position by saying, we're not interested. I'm not sure what that discussion, that was between that individual and HR.
Why
didn't
was
share
it not
that.
immediately opened back up?
because after that, we couldn't, so after that, we posted it again. So we posted the position for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
After it closed, we received, again, maybe 4 or 5 applicants that were approved. After that, we never could make quorum. So a full year went by
Mm-hmm.
before we could do anything. And so
And so with the 4 to 5 applicants that you had, is it that you could not, now that you have quorum, go back and look at those applications and make a decision on those applications? Is it that it needs to be opened up again? I'm trying to understand if there were applicants.
Right.
And because you were not making quorum, you did not get back to those applicants.
Correct.
But now you've been making quorum and you still haven't gotten back to those applicants.
correct. So what we did is, so in January, when we had our first quorum, and after we elected the board officers, I talked with Joe Cups, who is the city attorney, and I also talked with HR. They said because a year had gone by,
Mm-hmm.
that it was just fruitless to try to call these people in for an interview because
Okay, sounds
their
good.
time
So
has
after
already
you
gone
were
off.
told that it was fruitless to try and call these people for an interview, why was it not opened back up?
Because the board decided through HR and legal services to change the qualifications. Well, no, we couldn't do it once we realized it was an ordinance and everything has to go through HR. So what the board asked HR to do was to modernize the qualifications of the ombudsman
And when you say modernize,
to make it modern for current day.
what does that mean? How is it not modern? What does modernize mean for the board?
Well, for instance, it is, so for instance, and I just sent it to you as well via a memo as well as the old copy of the ordinance and what they were suggesting, and also what HR approved for 2026. I just sent that to you about a couple of hours ago. So in regards to that matter, what it would do is it's so the ordinance as it is unamended is so restrictive. That's why we were only getting 3 or 4 people approved if 30 or 40 people
I hear what you're saying
applied.
when you say modernize and when you say restrictive, but you're using words without giving context or definition. This is restrictive because of this. It's not modern because of this. You're not giving me the why it's not modern. What would you need to consider it modern?
Are you meeting updated qualifications, updated,
I think, Ms. Priestley,
I think that's,
if you've sent me a letter, you can
Yes,
explain
ma'am.
to me what you mean.
Yeah, so basically, we expanded the educational and professional qualifications.
When
This
you
was-
say expand the
hold on.
educational, professional
This-
qualifications,
this is
what
from-
do you mean by that?
I was getting ready to explain that. So this is what HR recommended in the proposal. So 1, expand job description, which was complaints, concerns, reports, and ethic-related issues under the charter. So basically what they did is HR and legal supported revisions, modernized the role by expanding responsibilities to include those things. And that's under section 1, which I sent. Then it also says the proposed amendment expanded acceptable educational and professional backgrounds to include a broader sector such as law, criminal justice, conflict management, organizational leadership, mediation, regulatory compliance, restorative justice, and employee relations. And so the old ordinance didn't adjust to this. So if somebody came in with a law degree, they wouldn't meet the qualifications.
What are the current qualifications?
So according to, let me see here. Pull up that old ordinance, forgive me. So a bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university in public administration, dispute resolution, psychology, social work, human services, a related field or equivalent experience.
Okay.
So what they did, that's under the current one as
So-
of right now.
Right, so it says a related field or equivalent experience. So that related field or equivalent experience didn't give you enough room.
No, it didn't. Because if that was the case, and that was the other argument that we made, because when it came down to related field, we were like, HR made those determinations on what was the related field.
Understood, and so you are left out of the process with HR.
Correct.
So, instead of repealing an ordinance, why wouldn't you just do a policy change between you all and HR?
Well, because
And instead, I get what you're saying.
Right.
And I hear you when you're saying you're being left out of what you think is a critical step. Because even if we opened it up, HR is still determining for you
correct.
whether or not, you see what I'm saying? So
Right.
you would still need that piece to change for you.
Correct.
So
And-
even if we repealed it, you would still need HR to give you access to make the decisions you need to make.
Well, see, that's why they wrote it up to offer the amendment to the ordinance, because at the bottom of the ordinance, it says all candidates have to go through HR and be approved through HR. And so through that caveat alone, we can't, if we wanted to, we could, I would hire somebody, if they came in with the interviews and things of that nature, but that's what HR themselves approved. So with the board going to HR, we're like, okay, can you amend the language to make it more broader so that it fits within the scope of this ordinance, since all applicants have to come through you and they have to be screened through you as well?
But that still doesn't change the fact that you're trying to change a whole ordinance when it seems like all you need to change is the part where HR leaves you out of the decision.
Well,
That seems like that's the only part you need change, is that you don't need to be left out of the decision.
well, see, and then I agree with you on that one as well. And see, that's where,
Because us changing it
Right.
still doesn't give you access that you need.
right. And so the thing about it is so here's the thing. We can ask, and we did. We asked for all of the applicants, hey, give us your applications so that we can review everything. The problem is that, and that's how we got caught up in the Doug Matthews situation. Doug Matthews, but he applied, and the board didn't. So that was the applicant where we picked somebody, and they declined. So that's how all of that issue came about.
Well, I do thank you, because I do have to wrap it up.
That's fine.
But I do thank you
Oh,
for,
Lord.
huh? Yeah, I do thank you for shedding some light on what part you need us to,
Amend. And
Yeah.
and that's it. It's just what we're asking to amend is that field. It's just expanding the field. That's what we're asking.
I don't even necessarily know that it's expanding the field, right? Because again, you didn't have access to all of the applicants, right? So there could have been someone in there that the board, who ultimately makes the decision, found to be a good applicant, and you didn't even get a chance to review that application. You see what I'm saying? So I think maybe there just needs to be some language in there as to which you have access to all of the applications so that you can make a good decision.
Well, I will say this, and that's even Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith did tell me, and when Mr. King was the chair and I was the vice chair, Mr. Smith did make available to us all of the applications once they had been processed, and he redacted some of the information, but he never hid them from us. If we wanted to see them, we could see them. The issue is we could only go with what HR approved because of that caveat in the ordinance.
No problem. And I hear you. It seems like that caveat with the HR making all of the final decisions of what to give to you is the concern,
Correct.
as opposed to the other part. But I hear you.
Right.
Thank you for shedding light on that. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This concludes our budget hearing. I believe it is 7:04.